I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Visitor Network TV and Channel 99. We have a very special guest today, Tobias Glidden, who's back after about 7 months of experience as a member of the Board of Selectmen. You've become a very familiar face around town, which I think is good. But I sort of wanted to touch base with you and see how you're feeling about the whole thing after 7 months.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing me in, Dan. How am I feeling about it? That's an interesting question. It's been very challenging. I think the hardest part for me, first of all, has been kind of balancing my life, my work life, and my Board of Selectmen life.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second there, because you work full time, supposedly. Is it possible?
It is possible. And I justify it to myself this way, is that I work about 30 hours a week. And I'm a subcontractor doing my own, I work for myself as a mason, I work for other people. And I'm able to do that because I'm not trying to, I keep my expenses really low, my housing expenses. You know, I live with my girlfriend's parents right now, and that's nice.
That's nice. Hope it lasts.
Like, you know, you can't, I'm not getting rich anytime soon, but it's not what I'm interested in. And I have different priorities, you know?
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
I think that's an important question for people who, see it as a challenge to do both.
Well, I guess I would ask them, what are your priorities? Are you trying to get ahead for yourself? Are you trying to buy a piece of land somewhere? Are you trying to have a family? Are you trying to make the world a better place? What are your priorities? What's your biggest priority? And then focus on that. My big priority is making the community a better place and making the world a better place through the things that I emit, and you're very aware of, kind of what I'm interested in, and I pursue that, and that's, for me, it's valuable in that case.
You made a comment at special town meeting which got a lot of attention about, I think it was specifically in reference to the Sconset Beach project, that you wish the town meeting would sort of take back the decision making on that rather than have it with the Board of Selectmen. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think the reason you said was because you didn't feel qualified to be able to deal with it. I don't know how much pushback you've gotten on that.
I've definitely gotten some people who've spoken their minds to me about it.
Well, let me then ask you what they've said to you rather than my relating what they've said to me.
So, it's a great question and a great thought, is that people feel as though elected officials are responsible for the people, and they instill them with certain power to act on different issues, and they're comfortable with whatever those decisions are made. And I agree with that scenario. In this particular case, though, I feel as though the board is not acting for the betterment of all of the people of Nantucket, and we're focusing only on a small minority, and the reason why we're doing that is because we're being heavily lobbied to act a certain way as a board. And I felt very uncomfortable with that. So when I stood up at town meeting and said, I don't feel like I'm representing you, I felt like I wasn't representing. Like, I can do my best to speak, but then if the system is being corrupted, then I'd like to see town meeting take it back.
Well, with due respect, it didn't come across that way. It came across as you didn't feel qualified in an intellectual sense or whatever to deal with these issues.
Yeah. Well, I'll say then that, I can do my 110%. I read everything. I talk to different people about issues. I'm as qualified as any of the other board members are qualified, I feel. But in the end of the day, part of being qualified is to be qualified to represent the people. When the people are not being represented, you need to be honest with yourself and say, hey, I'm doing the best I can, but the folks in Nantucket aren't being represented, and I want to let them know that. So it's a two-way street, and also me acknowledging that this is a very complex issue. The board members have said, let's send it to the Concom. We'll see what they say in regards to SPPF. And so there is a bit of back and forth. The board doesn't know everything, but there is a bit of understanding that we're not supposed to know everything. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does make sense. But I think you've clarified what you meant by that comment because.
But it is. I can see people being worried and scared by that. A board member saying that.
Well, I mean, the thought would be that the members of the board, not you specifically, but all the members of the board are elected to act on behalf of the people. And, it's hard to define the role of the Board of Selectmen.
It is.
Even in a purest sense, it's hard to define it because it's not the town meeting's the legislative body. Yeah. The town manager presumably is the executive body. What's the role of the Board of Selectmen in between?
Maybe the Senate or something somewhere in there. It does present some interesting issues, and as you know, one of my things has been that I'm not sure this form of town government is the best form, because I would not subscribe to your theory, and I should be interviewing you, not discussing this with you, but I should. I don't subscribe to the theory implicit in what you said that town meeting can do an any better job than the Board of Selectmen can. I would agree with you there.
And therefore, I guess what I would hope that you and others, members of the Board of Selectmen, being lobbied or not, would take it upon yourselves to say, well, I've been elected to do this. I've got to go with what my head thinks and to some degree my heart says. And, at some point I have to listen or not listen to those people who are beating on me. And
I've done
run with it. Run with it.
I've definitely done my research and vote the way I feel comfortable with. 100%. But that doesn't mean at town meeting I'm not going to stand up and speak my mind as well if I think it's.
Just be careful that you say what you mean.
Yeah. Well,
it's hard. It's hard. I understand, but I mean seriously, because it did come across as I suggested in a way different than what you seem to have meant.
I think your question about. Kind of how town government operates is a really good question. I think it's something should really be examined. I know there was a government study done 5 years ago led by Alan Reinhardt. There's still a lot of
he was actually on last week and we talked about that.
Right. Well,
but apparently only a couple people stepped forward the last time they asked for.
Yeah. So the committee hasn't been filled yet. If anybody's out there, please put your name in. It's a great opportunity to learn about government and kind of how it works, and you'll leave a wiser person.
So what's been the high point?
The high point, real high point. I think just getting my head around understanding things. When I was raised, being homeschooled, I really learned how to love to learn. And so every issue, whether it's finances or Capcom or all those little things that may seem boring, learning it in a new light, not as a citizen but as a Board of Selectmen, has been really enjoyable. And that's been the highlight for me. Just understanding this big picture,
What's been the low point?
The low point, it's a thankless job, There's very, I don't think people really understand what the board does, and you're always placed between a rock and a hard place, but that's part of your job, so you just go with it.
In terms of any specific accomplishments, are there things that you're happy about or things that you're not happy about?
First of all, I just wanted to take the, first year to get up to speed as much as I could. From all the past Board of Selectmen I talked to and all the current, they said it's a really hard thing being a board member, and it takes time to get onto all the issues. So I've really enjoyed that time, and now I'm looking to next year, looking to articles, looking to getting people more involved in government. I'm thinking a lot about renewable energy. I'm thinking a lot about a bike path into town. I guess one of the issues I'm happy or excited we voted for was the board voted for a new plot of land for Habitat for Humanity 3 months ago, and I thought that was, it's a really little thing, but all these little pieces are part of a bigger policy. It's not like any one issue, so I felt like that was a step in the right direction.